Having a Turkey Valley coach conversation here with head coach Chris Sullivan. And coach, you're sitting currently on a 5-game winning streak. Overall, the Trojans are 9-2 in conference play and 10-4 overall at this point. What's making things work for you? How much has this team grown up before your eyes, really within the last month?
We've really taken great strides. Like you said, we've on a 5-game winning streak. Most of them nights we've leaned on really good, solid team defense to put us in position to win them games. Um, Last week with that big win versus North Fayette Valley, who was undefeated in the conference and who only had one loss overall, just to Wacon's a very solid basketball team. We started hitting some shots, and we knew we were going to have to because they're long and athletic, and it's hard to get in the paint on them. And even if you're in there, you're trying to shoot over kids that are 6'6", 6'3", and just a bunch of athletes in there. But team defense is the number one reason why we've been playing well this last month. And then making shots has really contributed. Our 3-point percentage isn't something that would blow you away, but it's the timely threes that we've made. And that was the case versus North Fayette Valley as well, as we hit back to back to back threes in that fourth quarter that night, and really got us back into it. And then we ended up pulling out and getting the W in overtime.
That North Fayette Valley game in particular, what does a game like that do to a does to it? What does that do to your team's confidence, knowing the fact that you got a come from behind win, you stuck together, you did all the things you touched on, and got a win over against a really good opponent. What does that do for your team's confidence?
The team the team confidence is extremely high after that game. The kids are obviously fired up after the game, getting a big win. And they're really buying into the team aspect. They really have from the get-go, but we just keep taking steps forward in that. They don't care who scores. All they care about, and we preach as coaches, is when we look up there, that at the end of the night, the scoreboard says Turkey Valley wins. And people are accepting their roles. We talk about how everybody has a different role, but we have the same goal, and that's to get them come out there and compete every single night. And if everybody lays it on the line, then we can't hang our heads about anything. And kids have really bought into that. But yeah, the confidence is sky high right now. After that win, we talked to the kids about coming into the week. It was revenge week because we lost to North Fayette Valley, and then we lost to Key High, and then were our two conference losses coming into that week, and we took care of North Fayette Valley in a tight battle that could have went either way. And then we went over to Key High that Friday night, and we didn't particularly play well on defense. We were slow, I felt like. After watching film, I feel like we were contesting shots a little better than it looked like live, but we just weren't reacting like we normally do. So when I talked about how when we went on that 5-0 run here in the last 5 games, that 5-game win streak, I should say, it was mainly because of defense. But versus Key High, that was not the case. Luckily, our offense was clicking on all cylinders, and we got that 74-61 win that night.
And throughout the course of the season, more often than not, you've been holding teams to 50 points or less, which is very respectable at the high school level. Putting up 74 on Friday night against Key High, was that a little easier on the ticker despite some of the struggles you had on the other end of the floor?
Actually, it wasn't easy on the ticker at all because because I preach defense more than anything, and that was getting me more upset than just because we were just a hair late on a closeout, or hair late between breaking up a pass and going the other way for 2 points, and then we take ourselves out of the play and they knock down a three, and it was just big little swings there. Instead of getting a steal going the other way, they get an open three, and that's a 5-point swing within the game there. So that is something um, that sorry that had the ticker still going. But it was nice to see the offense, especially Garrett Kurdbach. He's found his shot the last few games. He was kind of the one that kept us in it early on versus Key High, because he had 4 threes in the first quarter, had 24 points and 15 rebounds that night. And he was kind of our glue guy that night, kept us close in the first half. We ended up having a 40-37 lead going into halftime. And then the second quarter, our defense was much better. We did a better job of not lunging out in front and containing penetration and that. But ticker wise, nah, that thing doesn't really ever stop.
What'd you do to make Mother Nature mad? I mean, we haven't had that bad of a winter, and you've had two snowouts within the past week and a half. What'd you do to make Mother Nature mad, man?
Swenson, that's a heck of a question. I don't have the answer for that either. But yeah, that's kind of been the biggest downfall here of the second half of the season. Like you said, it hasn't been a bad winter, but we have had three games that have been, two of them have been postponed. Their conference games, so we'll obviously get to play them yet. And then Chipola, it doesn't fit in their schedule, so we're going to have to cancel that one for this year. But the kids just need to play, so that is a disappointing thing because up when we played North Fayette Valley on previous Tuesday, that was our only fourth game in a month, and that's we don't want that. So the kids need to play at this point in the season. So no, I don't know what I did, but hopefully it behaves here down the stretch here. We can get games in because that's what the kids ultimately that's what they need.
And going down the stretch, will it be a nice balance, you believe, between getting those games in, but at the same time having enough practice times to kind of work out the kinks and improve yourselves?
Yeah, right now I feel like we're playing our best ball, so we just want to continue to play games. But luckily, we played 10 games before break. And when I first saw the schedule and saw that we were going to be playing 10 games, I really wasn't ideal because, like I've talked to you previously, young team that we had coming in, there's a lot of things that we had to work on. But now, since we've had three games either postponed or canceled, I'm glad that we played 10 before break because we still only have 1 week where we're going to have to play three games as of right now. So that isn't the worst because there's been years I know where we've had to play four games in a week, and they can really be a grinder, especially this year when we're only about seven, sometimes eight deep on any given night.
I know you got your postseason grouping last week in Class 1A. What were the thoughts of the seven teams that you're going to be paired up with beginning around the 14th of February?
Oh, and anytime you got the state champ in there, that makes it tough. And they're playing really well again over there. Marty always has that team playing tough, and they're always a tough out because the conference they play in prepares them for the postseason each night because that's just a grinder over there in that conference. But overall, it's a tough one. But we told the kids at the beginning of the year on the schedule, there's nobody that we can't beat, and there's nobody on our schedule that can't beat us. So we'll take our chances versus anybody. But overall, when I looked at it, my first reaction was this is a grinder. But what do you expect? It's postseason play. And that's kind of what it's all about. You're gonna have to beat somebody good no matter where you go. You might have to beat multiple teams that are good to get to where you want to get to, but um, we'll have the boys prepared and ready to go.
And when it comes to voting for the seating within your district, a lot of things this year aren't going to be apples to apples comparison or oranges to oranges comparisons. Will the seating be a little bit more of a challenge in a year like this as compared to maybe a normal year?
Yeah, I think um, just trying to think off the top of the head with the teams in terms of games. Some people might have missed out on games. It's always interesting anyway because you got teams from different conferences and every in records. Sometimes uh, your record could be better than somebody else's, but they might be in a conference that is a little bit better than yours or a lot better. So it's always interesting. I feel like the meetings, but the last couple of years they've ran smooth. But this year with COVID and teams missing out, or maybe they have a kid that's out, it definitely is going to play in a factor because sometimes in previous years we'd have meetings and a kid, maybe a team's best player, is out for the first half of the season, for instance, and that might have hurt their seeding, so they can kind of made their case that they feel like they should be a 2 seed instead of maybe a 4 seed because that kid was out. So this year it'll kind of be the same thing, but instead of injuries, which will still play a part in the seeding or making your case for a higher seed, also COVID issues will play it. So it'll be an interesting.
All right, Coach. Hopefully, you can keep things rolling again on Friday night. Hopefully, Mother Nature gets out of the way and lets you play a couple of games from now until the end of the season as well. Keep things rolling. We wish best of luck.
Appreciate it, Darren. Thank
Chris
you.
Sullivan with this Turkey Valley coach conversation.